$200 million. That's how much money my framework has saved clients over the past 5 years. But here's the thing. That's not actually the number I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the healthcare algorithms we caught before they denied care to Black patients. I'm proud of the hiring systems we fixed before they filtered out qualified candidates. I'm proud of the facial recognition deployments we stopped before they led to wrongful arrests. Because here's the truth. Most AI governance fails. Companies create AI ethics boards that never meet. They publish responsible AI principles that nobody reads. They hire chief ethics officers who have no real power, and then they're shocked when their AI causes harm. Why does this happen? Because most organizations treat AI governance as a PR exercise rather than an operational imperative. They want the appearance of responsibility without the accountability of actually being responsible. After 25 years working in this space with Fortune 500 and 100 companies, with startups, with governments and NGOs, I've developed a framework that actually works. It's not complicated, but it does require commitment. Today, I'm sharing the complete framework with you. Not the summary, the whole thing, because this information is too important to gatekeep. I'm Dr. Dede Tetsubayashi, and let's get into the 4 principles of equitable AI. Before we dive deep, let me give you the overview. The 4 principles are: 1, lead with curiosity. Challenge assumptions and audit blind spots before they become expensive problems. 2, be accountable. Build governance structures where responsibility is clear and consequences are real. 3, solve for one, extend to many. Design for your most constrained users and unlock innovation for everyone. 4, take action. Move from awareness to implementation with urgency and measurable outcomes. These 4 principles aren't sequential. They work together, reinforcing each other, but each one is essential. Let me break down each one with specific tactics you can implement tomorrow. Principle 1, lead with curiosity. Most AI bias isn't malicious. It's invisible. It lives in the assumptions we don't question, the users we don't imagine, the edge cases we don't test. Leading with curiosity means treating every decision as an opportunity to discover what you don't know. And here's how to implement this. Tactic 1, the who's missing audit. For every AI system you're building or deploying, ask these questions. Who's collected this training data? What were their assumptions? Who's overrepresented in the data? Who's missing entirely? And for every meeting where AI decisions are made, ask who's not at this table? Whose perspectives aren't represented? If someone from the margins were here, what would they see that we don't? Then document the answers. Track them over time. This isn't a one-time exercise. It's an ongoing practice. Tactic 2, red team your assumptions. Create a formal process for challenging assumptions. Assign someone, or better, a diverse group, to actively look for invisible spots, blind spots, areas that we're not paying enough attention to. And ask, how might this system fail for Black users, for disabled users, for elderly users, for non-native English speakers? Don't wait until deployment to find out. Test early, test often, and test with real people from affected communities. Tactic 3, seek disconfirming evidence. This is counterintuitive, but essential. Actively look for evidence that your AI is biased. Most teams only look for evidence that their system works. They test happy paths. They celebrate successes. Flip it. Ask, what would prove our system is discriminatory? Then go look for that. If you're not finding problems, you're probably not looking hard enough. Curiosity isn't just an intellectual virtue, it's a governance imperative. The problems you don't discover in development become the lawsuits you will face in deployment. Principle 2, be accountable. Governance without accountability is theater, and I've seen a lot of expensive theater. Here's what real accountability looks like. Tactic 1, name the responsible parties. For every AI system, answer this question. When the system fails, and it will fail, who is responsible? Not the team, not the company, a specific person with a name. This person should have the authority to stop deployments, the resources to fix problems, and the accountability for outcomes. If you can't name this person, you're not ready to deploy. Tactic 2, create feedback loops. How do affected communities report problems? How quickly do you respond? What happens when complaints come in? Most organizations have no mechanism for this, or they have a generic customer service line where AI bias complaints go to die. Create dedicated channels, track response times, report on outcomes. Tactic 3, measure what matters. Here's a stat that should concern you. Most organizations measure AI accuracy as a single number. Our system is 95% accurate, but accurate to whom? Disaggregate your data. Measure accuracy by race, by gender, by age, by disability status. And if your system is 99% accurate for white men and 70% accurate for Black women, you don't have a 95% accurate system. You have a discriminatory system. What you measure shapes what you prioritize. So measure equity, not just efficiency. Tactic 4, build in reversibility. When AI makes a decision that affects someone's life, their job application, their loan, their healthcare, their freedom, can that decision be repealed? Can that decision be appealed? Can the harm be remedied? If your systems makes high-stakes decisions with no recourse for affected individuals, you're building a machine for injustice. Accountability isn't about blame, it's about ownership. When you know you're responsible for outcomes, you make different decisions throughout your process. Principle 3, solve for one and extend to many. This is my favorite principle because it transforms accessibility from a compliance burden into a competitive advantage. Let me tell you about the curb cut. In the 1970s, disability advocates fought for curb cuts, those little ramps at the street corners. The goal was simple: help wheelchair users navigate sidewalks. But here's what happened. Curb cuts help everyone. Parents with strollers, travelers with suitcases, delivery workers with hand trucks, people with temporary injuries, elderly people with mobility challenges, and a solution designed for the most constrained users became an innovation for everyone. This is the curb cut effect, and it applies directly to AI. Tactic 1, identify your one. Who are your most constrained users? The ones who face the most barriers, the ones your default design doesn't serve. For AI systems, this might be blind users who can't see visual interfaces, deaf users who can't use voice commands, users with cognitive disabilities who need simpler interactions, users in low bandwidth environments, non-native speakers for your default language. All of these, design with them first. Tactic 2, turn constraints into features. When you design for constrained users, you're forced to solve harder problems. And those solutions often become your best features. Voice interfaces were originally an accessibility feature. Now they're mainstream. High contrast mode was for visually impaired users. Now it's a popular preference. Simple, clear language was for cognitive accessibility. Now it improves comprehension for everyone. Tactic 3, measure market expansion. The disability market alone represents over $13 trillion in global spending power. Add their friends and families, people who won't use products that exclude their loved ones, and you're looking at an enormous addressable market. One of my clients unlocked $25 million in new revenue by implementing accessibility-first design. They didn't spend $25 million on accessibility. They gained $25 million by doing it right. Solving for one isn't charity, it's strategy. The organizations that figure this out will dominate the next decade. The ones that don't will be playing catch up. Principle 4, take action. This is where most organizations fail. They know about AI bias. They've read the articles. They've attended the conferences. They've nodded along to talks just like this one. And then they do nothing. Or worse, they do just enough to create the appearance of action without any actual change. Good intentions without implementation are just complicity with extra steps. Here's how to actually take action. Tactic 1, set specific measurable goals. Improve diversity is not a goal, it's a wish. Increase Black representation in AI research roles from 5% to 15% within 24 months is a goal. Reduce demographic disparity in model accuracy to less than 5% difference across all groups within 12 months is a goal. If you can't measure it, you're not serious about it. Tactic 2, allocate real resources. If it's not in the budget, it's not a priority. I've seen organizations claim AI ethics is their top priority while allocating 0 dedicated headcount and 0 dedicated budget. Assign people, give them time, fund the work. Otherwise, it won't happen. Tactic 3, create accountability structures. Tie equity outcomes to performance reviews. Make inclusion metrics part of promotion criteria. Create consequences for failure. I know this sounds harsh, but the current system has consequences too. They just fall on the people being harmed by biased AI. Shifting consequences to the people with power to change things is how change actually happens. Tactic 4, move with urgency. This is not meant to be confused with move fast and break things. This is very different. Moving with urgency means thinking about the people being most harmed. The people being harmed by biased AI can't wait for your next annual planning cycle. Robert Williams can't wait. The patients being denied care can't wait. The job applicants being filtered out can't wait. And urgency isn't panic, it's prioritization. It's treating this work with the seriousness it deserves. Okay, you've got the framework. Now, let me give you a 90-day roadmap to implement it. Days 1 through 14, assessment. Audit your current AI systems. Which ones exist? What decisions do they make? Who's affected? Map your decision-making processes. Who's at the table when AI choices are made? Whose perspectives are missing? Identify your highest risk applications, the ones where bias would cause the most harm. Your deliverable should be a complete inventory of AI systems and their risk profiles. Days 15 through 30, listening. Engage affected communities, not as an afterthought, but as partners. If your AI affects hiring, talk to candidates who've been through your process. If it affects healthcare, talk to patients. If it affects lending, talk to applicants. Ask them what works, what doesn't, what are we missing? And your deliverable should be documented community feedback and identified blind or difficulty spots. Days 31 through 60, building. Create accountability structures. Assign responsible parties and establish feedback mechanisms. Implement measurement systems that track outcomes by demographic and begin updating your highest risk systems based on what you've learned. Your deliverable should be governance structures in place and measurement dashboards operational. Days 61 through 90, testing and iterating. Test your updated systems with affected communities. Measure whether disparities are actually decreasing. Document what's working and what isn't. Share learnings across the organization. Your deliverable should be measurable improvement in equity metrics with a roadmap for continued progress. 90 days won't solve everything, but 90 days of focused effort can transform your trajectory. The organizations I work with that commit to this process see results, real results, cost savings, new markets, regulatory compliance, and technology that doesn't discriminate. Let me share some real results from organizations implementing this framework. A Fortune 100 healthcare company used Principle 1, Lead with Curiosity, to identify critical compliance gaps before they became regulatory violations. Their cost savings, $50 million. A fintech startup used Principle 3, Solve for One and Extend to Many, to implement accessibility first design. They unlocked entirely new customer segments, new revenue of $25 million that was previously undiscovered. A global HR tech platform was facing regulatory action for algorithmic bias in their hiring tools. Using all 4 principles, they achieved full compliance in 6 months. They went from potential disaster to competitive advantage. And this isn't theoretical. This is happening right now. Organizations that commit to equitable AI are winning financially, reputationally, and ethically. And here's what I want you to take away from this video. AI governance isn't a burden. It's an opportunity. The framework exists. The business case is overwhelming and the tools are available. What's needed is the willpower. The question isn't whether we can build AI that works for everyone. The question is whether we choose to. This Black History Month, I've shared the problems, the history, and the solutions. The rest is now up to you. If you want the complete framework PDF, it's linked in the description. Download it. Share it with your team. Start implementing it. If you want help implementing this in your organization, that's literally what I do. Book a free strategy session. Let's build AI that doesn't discriminate. And if this series has been valuable, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a comment telling me what you're going to do differently. Because when we center the margins, we unlock a greater future for all. I'm Dr. Dede Tetsubayashi. You've been coded out. Let's code you back in.